Hello guys, I trust you're all doing good. I welcome you back once again to my channel. And however, if this is your first time to accessing my channel, kindly hit the subscription button. Okay, all right, so that's you become part of my family. Okay, right. In my previous video that I did with you, I taught you how to write some scripts to create database in PHP. Okay, using PHP to create database in your local host. All right, good. So it's a continuation. This video is a continuation from that one. In this video, I'm going to show you how to also write some scripts to create tables and ensure a smooth configuration. Create a certain connection string that will connect your PHP program to the database that you've created. All right. So in this video, we're going to do two separate things. We're going to create tables using PHP scripts, and we are going to also set some configuration file. We're going to write some script to always check the availability, like a handshake. It checks the database and see if everything is okay before any other operations are executed. All right, so that is what we're going to do in this video. So stay tuned as we dive into the classroom mode. In this video, we are going to discuss how to create a configure file that will help us connect our project to the database we created in the previous video. All right, so when you see here, this is the database we created in our previous video. Okay, so we have to create a file. Okay, we have to create a script that will help us connect our project to the database we have already created. Okay, so in doing that, I'll create inside the setup. I'll create another file here called. So I'll right click on the setup. Okay, then go to new, then go to PHP file. All right, then I'll create a name here, config. So it's like a configuration file that I'm creating. Okay, so I'll make config, then the extension be PHP. Okay, so I have this layout here, so I'll just clear this one off. All right, so I have a blank sheet. All right, so just as we did for the previous video in creating the database, we need to define our parameters. Okay, the parameters for the connector. Okay, for the connection. All right, so we define the DB host set to localhost, then the DB user set it to root, DB password. I have a password. Then the DB name itself. DB name, since we have created the database already. So the DB name, the database name was ABCD underscore DB. So that was the database that we created. All right. So if your own is having a different database name, you can just bring the database name here. Okay. All right. So let me flip to the presentation mode so that you see the font size well. Okay. All right. So now I set my connection. Okay. So I bring my $CONN. Then I set my MySQL I connect. Then I'll bring them here. So I have my DB host, comma, $DB user, comma, DB password, comma, then finally the DB name. Okay, I terminate it. All right, then I test it and see. Okay, I'll test and see if this connection, if this connection doesn't go through, it should throw an error for me. If it goes through, it should tell me the connection is successful. Okay, So I'll just bring here if not the connection. Okay, there are so many ways of doing this, what I'm doing right now. So you can also have your own way of doing it, or you watch different tutorials and they will do the same thing in a different way. Okay, in programming there is no one way of doing things in here. There are so many ways of killing the cat, as the saying goes. All right, so in here I'll say if the connection doesn't go through, it should die the connection. Okay, it should kill the connection. So die, then it should throw an error for me saying connection failed. All right, then I would also want to know the kind of error, okay, or what happened that didn't allow the connection to go through successfully. So I'll concatenate it and bring here my SQLi underscore connection to underscore connect error. Okay, good. So I'll terminate the line. Okay, so even here I can bring return false. All right. Okay, so I don't think it's allowing me to bring it here. Unable to. So let me just take this one out here. Okay, then else it should tell me, it should echo some positive thing to me. All right, so echo database successfully connected. Okay, so we are done. All right, we are done. So this code here, when we run it in our browser, it should, when you run it and it produce this echo message for us, that means voila, we are true. Else it will throw this error message for us. Then we know that okay, the connection is not correct. Then whatever error message that comes up, you will troubleshoot it and fix it. All right. Okay. So now let's run this into our browser. Then we are good to go. Okay. Voila, we are true. So we have here database successfully connected. All right. So our connection string has been well defined. Okay, it has been well established. So if it is networks, we say we have a successful handshake. So packets can be transferred. So let me put it that way. So that is how it is. So you have to first connect and see, hey, I'm coming to insert something into to you. Are you there? If yes, if not, then it throws an error. So let's try to bring something here. Let's say the database, and let me put let me try to put something there, character there. Okay, so an underscore, and let's run and see what will also happen here. So you see it threw an error. Okay, first it has thrown an error for us. So connection failed. Database, the error message that is coming up is unknown database ABCD so and so. All right, good. So it means we are on the right track. So when you run it back, when you take it off and you run it back, we have it here connected. So it means we are truly connected. All right. Okay. So thank you for joining me in this tutorial. All right. So stay tuned as we get ready for the next video, the next tutorial. So in the next tutorial, we'll be teaching how to create table programmatically in PHP. How to create table in PHP. You know, the table in MySQL server in PHP. Welcome back to this tutorial. So as promised in the previous tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create tables in your database using PHP, that is programmatically. Okay, so continue from the same project. In the setup, since we've already created the config create db and config script, let's add another one called tables. Okay, so I'm going to right click on the setups and go to new, go to PHP file, then I'll type tables. So the file name is tables. Okay, Then I click OK. All right. Then have a clean slate here now. So now let me flip to the presentation mode so that you see the code well. All right. So here, what we'll be doing here is, we have to first define the query that you want to write here. All right. So bring a variable called SQL equal to. All right. Then we bring double quotes and we terminate it. All right. Then inside the double quotes, you hit enter. Okay. Create a space. Then you put your code there. Right. So we write the code. So we are creating table. So the syntax is create table if not exists. Then you bring your table name. All right. So we go like create table if not exists. Then the table name will be staff. The table name will be staff registration. So staff reg underscore TBL. Okay. Then I bring my parentheses. Okay. I bring my parentheses. So inside the parentheses, that is where my other columns are going to be, stated. So I should enter. I'll hit enter. So so what this line means is you should create this table, create staff registration table if it doesn't exist. Okay, so if this table name does not exist in the database, you should create it, else you should just forget it. All right, that is what this code means. Create table if not exist the table name. All right, so every table has an ID. Okay, I'll find time to teach you database. I'll find one of the tutorials teach you database and its normalizations. All right, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'll just go straight to creating the table with PHP programmatically. Okay, so I'll set my ID, the table ID, and I'll set the data type. Data type is int, and the size is 20. I'm making the size 20 because with the number of stars that we are dealing with, the size can keep growing and growing and growing. So I'm making the size 20, and it's not now. Yeah, it's not now means for every entry, it should be filled with something. Okay, not now, and it should be an auto increment filled. Auto increment. Auto underscore increment. Okay, then I bring my comma and I go to the next one. So we created staff name. All right, so staff, the next field will be staff underscore name. Then that one will be varchar. I'll use the varchar data type, and the size, a name of a person, maximum, let me give it 100. Okay, a name of a person. I'm just assuming the lengthiest name one can give. You get it? Yeah, the user can type anything over there like that. So let's assume it's 100. So it means it will accept 100 characters. And the varchar here represents the data type. So for every field, for every column, the data that will be accepted in that field, okay, should be defined. All right. So here is varchar. Varchar can accept variable characters. It can accept alphanumerics. So you can enter any character over there, it will accept it. Integer here accepts only integer values. All right. So that is the data type. So we have the name, the field name, the data type, and the length. Okay, the length of the data type. So the type of data that should be keyed into this field should be 100. Anything greater than 100 will be truncated. All right. and we should set it to not now. Not now means at any entry there should be something in there. Okay, there should be something in there. You can't enter empty data into it. All right, then we go to the next one. The next one we created was the gender, staff gender, and we can also set that one to varchar and that one, the longest is a female, and I think it's 6 characters. So we bring in 6, and as usual, not now. Then we go to staff underscore phone. So phone number, let's make it varchar, and the length, let's make it 15. Okay, let's make it 15 or 13, plus 233 and all those things, the spacing. Let's make it 15, and as usual, not now, comma. Then we bring here the email. Okay, the phone is phone, so let's spell it as well. Phone. The next one is staff email, right? So email varchar data type, and let me set it to 100 or more, and set it to not now, comma. All right, then I think these are the four fields that we created on the 4. All right, these are the 4 fields. All right, so now we define our primary key. So primary key is the ID. All right, is the ID. Then we are done. So let's define the engine and the character set for it. All right, so we make it, let me bring this one here, big spacious. All right, so the engine equal to my ISAM default car set character set equal to Latin 1. Okay, semicolon. All right, so I think this is the query. We are done with the query here. Okay, we are done with the query. So this query allows us to create tables, so you can replicate this query as many as you want, okay, by changing the parameters here. So now let's commit it. So you're right, if the connection string, so we have to now import our connection string, the config file that we created. All right, we have to now bring it here before we continue. So let me just clear the if, then now include. All right, we have to include setup, go to that directory. So you have okay, we are in the same directory, so I'll just write include config.php. okay, then inside the config.php I'll set my global variable, the global connection, CONN. Okay, so now I can now bring my committing. So if the connection CONN, then query the SQL, we're testing it. Okay, so if this query, okay, we are running this query on the connection string that we created. All right, so inside this config we created a connection string over there that connects us to the database. Okay, so we are saying we should run this query, this SQL query here. We should run the query on that connection string. Okay, that handshake that has been established, it should run on it. So if it runs and is false, so the equal signs here are 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, false. If it is false, then it should throw an error to us. Okay, if it is false, it should echo an error telling us error creating table 1. Okay, then the type of error should be displayed for us. So we bring our concatenator, the dot sign, then the connection. Okay, error. So the connection, it should tell us what error was caused. Okay, or what error triggered the inability for the table to be created. All right, then you return false. Else it should display something positive to us. It should display echo, let's say table 1 created. Successfully. Okay, all right, so now let's run this file. Let's run this script here and see how it will behave. Okay, if it throws any error, then we come back here and see how we can troubleshoot it. All right, okay, so I'll load it in my Chrome browser and see which of the error messages or which of the messages that will be displayed. Okay, so I click on the Chrome, wait for it to load. So as usual, I'll clear my port here and I'll hit enter. So let's wait whilst the script runs. Voila, so we have here database successfully connected and table 1 created successfully. All right, so it means the query was correct. All right, so now let's go to the database and see if the table has been really created there. So this is the database ABCD. When I click on it, inside there I have my staff registration table created. Okay, so when I go to structure here, all right, I'll see the fields I created. Okay, so these are the fields I just created. All right, so I have here ID, primary key, so I have the key here, the staff name varchar 100, the staff gender, I have varchar 6, staff phone 15, email, and so on and so forth. So technically we have created a table in our local host, okay, without coming here to create it one by one. All right, so I think we are good to go. Right, so this is the simple code for creating tables in our database. Okay, creating simple table in our database. All right, so thank you for joining me through to this point. All right, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, kindly subscribe. All right, don't be late, just subscribe to the channel as we progress together. Okay, so since we are done creating database, we have created a connection string, we have created tables. All right, then in the next video we'll go back to the form that we created and now connect the form that we created to our table that we have created here right now. Okay, so then we are closer to developing or completing our web application. All right, the attendance system, we are closer to creating the web application. All right, so Thank you once again, and see you in my next video.